What's up everybody, it's Matt from TDM Style here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back, finally, to the Budget Stuff series. It has been forever. I've been meaning to bring this back for a long time and just have been too busy to get around to it. So here we are, finally back again, and boy, are y'all in for a treat today. So today we're having a look at all 4 of the Head & Shoulders styling products. And, you know, most of you may be wondering, hey, Matt, you know, this is a hair product review video. Why are you wearing a hat? A couple reasons. The first one is that it's cold. The second reason, though, we'll get to that. Now, before we jump in, I do want to make one quick announcement. So if you follow my community tab, you know that I've been considering and definitely planning on doing a review of the Combat comb-over products. But as a kind of incentive for that, I have set up a donation page via GoFundMe for a veterans charity. So the donation page that I set up is going straight to Operation Healing Forces, which is a nonprofit organization that helps veterans, both active and not, and their spouses with, you know, anything that they might need for, you know, mental or physical health and healing. So it's a great cause, and I've set for now just a goal of $250. Once we meet or surpass that's when I will then go buy the Combat comb-over stuff. So I put the first $50 in myself, and I'll put the link down below. So if you can and you would like to donate to that, please feel free. It's like I said, it's a great cause, and the result in that review video I think is going to be well worth the donation. And with that, let's get into this because we have a lot to unpack here. So everybody knows Head & Shoulders. They're a brand that's been around forever, and everybody knows them for their shampoos, which obviously are meant for people who struggle with dandruff. So fairly recently, I believe within the last year, they came out with 4 of these styling products. They have a styling cream, a shaping pomade, a texturizing putty, and a molding clay. So let's start straight away with packaging and pricing. All of these come in these 3-ounce or 85-gram blue plastic tubs with a gray plastic lid and stick-on labeling on there, and each one of these will run you $9.99 US. So, I mean, as far as the packaging, it's decent. The plastic doesn't feel real cheap or anything. The branding is mediocre. I mean, it looks like Head & Shoulders. Like, it looks exactly like all their other stuff, so no surprise there, I guess. Next, we can talk quickly about the scent, and I mean quickly because it is the same exact scent on all 4 of these. Now, I haven't opened a bottle of Head & Shoulders shampoo in, I don't know if even ever. So I don't know if it's the same scent that's on the shampoos or not. Yeah, it's all right. It's not bad. It basically, I don't know. To me, it just smells like kind of like a basic bitch cologne type scent. Yeah, like it's light. It's not anything, you know, super strong or anything like that. I do notice though, once you get it out of the jar and into the hair, it does smell a little bit more strongly for like the first half hour or so, and then it kind of disappears. But yeah, certainly nothing to write home about there. It just, yeah, basic bitch cologne scent. All right, so next we're gonna get into the ingredients. And now normally I don't spend a lot of time on this section, but this is where I started to notice some concerning things. So we're about to put the Inspector Matt cap on. Well, it's already on, I guess. And do a bit of a deep dive into these formulas. So buckle in. So the ingredients aren't listed on the jar where you would typically see them, like around the side or anything. Instead, on the underside, they have this little fold-out booklet, similar to what you would see on, you know, like a bottle of aspirin or something. So it says drug facts, and then it has active ingredient is pyrithione zinc, 0.1%, and that's the anti-dandruff stuff. So I did do some research on that ingredient because I just wanted to know more about it, and so I have some notes here. So it is antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antifungal, and it's meant to inhibit the growth of yeast, which is actually from more research that I did, the overgrowth of yeast that exists on the skin is what causes the inflammatory response in some people's scalps that results in dandruff. Now, in my few minutes of Google searching that it took me to find that out, I was reading on the National Eczema Foundation's website. They have this whole thing about like what dandruff is and what causes it and how to fight against it and all that. So they talk about this pyrithione zinc ingredient, and I thought it was interesting because so their recommended amount, it says they recommend to wash with a 2% zinc formula daily cleanser and then use a moisturizer. So if I can find the information online, which I probably can, I'll put it up on screen here. I don't know how much concentration of the zinc is in Head & Shoulders shampoos. But the concentration in these is 1/10 of 1%. So if they were trying to hit that 2% margin to be effective, this is way lower than that. So that's just something I found interesting. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know, but just based on those numbers, 1/10 of 1% doesn't seem like it would do much compared to the 2% that the National Eczema Foundation recommends as an effective treatment. Now, I did notice, though, the directions, which are the same on all 4 products, the directions to how to use this simply say, apply a small amount of product in hands and work through damp or dry hair from root to tip and style as desired. And it says, apply to affected areas 1 to 4 times daily, or as directed by a doctor. 4 times? Does anyone put hair product in 4 times a day? Now, let's look at the actual formulas themselves, because this is the important part that I mentioned a few minutes ago, and this is where things start to get a little bit sus. So as I was looking at all of these, as I do before a review and taking notes on the formulas for each one and stuff, I noticed some striking and frankly concerning similarities between the formulas. Amongst the formulas? Between? I think it's amongst, because there's more than 2. English teachers, let me know. Well, so that's why I was kind of looking at the formulas just to see. And they're not real different. In fact, all 4 are almost identical. So like when we compare the styling cream and the pomade, the first page of ingredients on those is completely identical except for the styling cream has glycerin as the second ingredient. The second page of ingredients on these 2 is 100% the same, and the third page of ingredients is also 100% the same. So literally the only difference between the styling cream and the shaping pomade is glycerin, 1 ingredient. Now, comparing the ingredients of the texturizing putty and the molding clay. First page of ingredients, 100% the same. The second page of ingredients, 100% the same. And the third page of ingredients starts out the same with fragrance, niacinamide, and panthenol. And so the only difference here is that the molding clay has 4 ingredients at the very bottom of the list. We have caramel color, iron oxides, which are also used for coloring in cosmetics, mica, which is used to add like a glittery look to cosmetics, and titanium dioxide, which is used as coloring in cosmetics. So literally the only difference between the texturizing putty and the molding clay is color. That's it. One looks white and one looks tan. Now, you know, you could argue that, well, the ingredients are the same and they're in the same order, but maybe there are different, percentages of each one in the formulas, and that's possible. I have no way of knowing if, like, the concentrations of each ingredient are exactly the same in both, but you'll find out in a minute that they're probably exactly the same in both. It's also very worth noting that the molding clay has no clay in it. There's no bentonite, there's no sea clay, there's no kaolin, there's no clay in it, period. And when I first looked at that ingredient list, I saw all those like mineral things at the end, and I was like, oh, maybe they use that as a way to add like some grittiness and kind of emulate a clay texture. No, did research on all those ingredients and they're all just literally used as coloring. I almost said food coloring, but you definitely do not want to eat these. So with that, let's actually take a look inside and see what they really do look like, how they scoop and all that, and then I do have demo footage of all 4 of them. Now I'm starting out all of these demos the same way, so freshly washed and blow-dried hair that I've pre-styled with just some 25 spray, as I always do, just for some smoothing and, you know, frizz control and things, and to give all of these guys a level playing field. So I thought we'd go in the order of light hold to high hold, so we're going to start out with this styling cream. So this is supposed to be their light hold matte finish one for a natural look. And so looking inside the jar here, you can see this bright white stuff that scoops out super soft and easy, and yeah, it basically feels like a lotion. There is zero tack, there's zero waxiness really, it just kind of feels like a thick lotion. So here we are, freshly blow-dried hair, ready to go, which as you can see is looking shiny and snatched. So in we go with the cream with about a dime-sized amount. So a light hold styling cream for a natural finish, I expected it to be very smooth and not feel sticky or anything, and just kind of make my hair look, I don't know, natural. But I was surprised to find that it starts to dry after about 5 seconds, and it immediately becomes like straw. Like it's that just classic thing that happens to me with dry products with my coarse hair type. It feels very tangly, my hair feels like straw, and it's just uncomfortable to style with. So I tried to do just kind of like a loose side swoopy thing with this, because, you know, that's what I would do with a light hold styling cream, and it just didn't work. I mean, like, the hair is so like dry and just gritty feeling that it didn't want to lay down nice, so I had all these bits like sticking up in the back, and then the front was laying, the sides were poking out weird. It just didn't work. And obviously, as you can see here, there's just like zero hold. So I didn't bother doing an endurance test with this one. I just washed it out because my hair felt mad dry, and moved on to the next one. So next is the styling pomade. This is the medium hold matte finish one. I thought it was odd that they went with a matte pomade. You know, I like most companies, if they just are going for like a basic pomade to start, they'll have some level of shine in there. But when your formulas are basically identical, it's kind of hard to adjust the shine level, I guess. So taking a look at this one in the jar, you'll find that it looks exactly like the styling cream. Weird. And it scoops out and breaks down exactly like the styling cream. So moving into the demo here with, once again, freshly washed and blow-dried hair, it applies and styles exactly like the styling cream. So I did a different, you know, I did my normal blow drying method this time because, you know, it's a pomade. I'm expecting to have my hair back, not like kind of loose and forward and to front. So I blow dried it back instead of forward. That was a very long way of me explaining that. So this does, you know, it starts looking okay at first. Like, it, you know, the texture looks all right. It basically looks like the same texture that I started with. But yeah, so it's, once again, it's drying immediately, so it becomes quickly very tangly feeling. It's extremely matte, and yeah, there's like no hold. So this was literally 15 minutes later, and it was already deflating and falling all over the place. So yeah, that's as far as I went on the endurance on that one, because as you can see, it's not doing anything really, except making my hair feel like straw. Next up, we have the Texturizing Putty. Now this is supposed to be the high hold matte finish one. And looking inside the jar here, hey, finally, this one looks slightly different. I do mean slightly though. Really, the only way it looks different is that it's a bit thicker, and when you get it into the hands and start breaking it down, it does have a kind of waxy appearance. Although despite that, it still doesn't feel like sticky or waxy really in the hands. It just kind of feels like a choppier version of the styling cream. Weird. So once again, freshly washed, blow-dried hair that is starting to get tired of it now, but still looking all right, because 25 holding shit down. So now we're going in with the Texturizing Putty, and yeah, it's basically exactly the same. It starts to dry instantly and it becomes difficult to use. This one does feel initially like it might have a little bit of hold in there, like it feels a little bit stronger. But as you can see, after even a second, like full-size scoop, not much in the way of hold, or, you know, so it seems. It's all right, well, let's test it out, and I shit you not. I finished filming that demo footage. I walked up the stairs from my studio, and when I got upstairs, I glanced in the mirror, and it already looked like this. So I literally turned right back around and walked down here and turned the camera back on, because as you can see, walking up the stairs shouldn't make your hairstyle completely fall apart. So I'm gonna say this one also has no hold in it. And finally, we have reached the molding clay, which is another high hold matte finish one. And looking inside the jar, as you can expect from the formulas that we talked about, it looks exactly the same as the texturizing putty, except for the color. Weird. And here we are for one final demo, once again. Freshly washed and blow-dried hair. And I don't know why I'm even doing this demo, because the formula is literally the fucking same as the texturizing putty, except for the color. So it's the same product. So it's the same demo footage. So I didn't bother endurance testing because, yeah, once again, there ain't no fucking hold in it. Yeah, so overall thoughts on the Head & Shoulders stuff. Hot garbage. So obviously, none of the products worked. They were all extremely dry. They had zero hold. They all looked exactly the same and worked exactly the same. Yeah, and so I mean, maybe it's just because of my hair texture that they felt so coarse and dry. But, you know, I'm wondering, like, these things are supposed to be anti-dandruff. And first of all, they have almost none of that zinc in it anyway. But how are you supposed to be anti-dandruff when you're making my hair and scalp like a fucking desert? Yeah, so I mean, obviously they took one formula and made whatever, probably the styling cream first, I don't know. And then they were like, hey, let's tweak it extremely slightly and call it a different product and see if anybody notices, I guess. I don't know. Like, it seems it's so lazy to me. Like, why would you bother doing that? Like, just have one product, and then you could maybe like focus on the quality of that one and make it actually like usable first, and then try to come out with other stuff, but actually like change the formulas. I don't know. And so especially like at $10 a piece, these are worth, well, nothing as far as I'm concerned, because they don't work, but like I'm like actually upset that I spent $40 on this garbage. You know, like if they were $5 a piece, okay, I wouldn't feel quite so sad about it. They do wash out really easily though. So they got that part right. Yeah, so these are all going in the bin. So my good faith criticism of Head & Shoulders, if they're watching, I know they're not watching. Yeah, I would, I mean, at least change your formulas. Like, don't be so obvious that all four of these are exactly the same with just minor tweaks that did nothing at all. Maybe try putting some actual clay in your clay, add some more like rice bran wax or beeswax to something to these to actually give them some hold. Yeah, so now we've come full circle now, and we finally made it back to the beginning of the video. So why am I wearing a hat? Well, because I had to use this shit for all day yesterday, and now my hair is real mad at me. So I'm not doing anything with it today. I'm just leaving it under here. I'm not even going to show it to you because it's so dry and frizzy and awful looking. Now, I also, so after I like ruined my Saturday testing these, I was just looking around on YouTube to see if anybody else had reviewed them. And I found Head & Shoulders has a channel, and they have like a short minute-and-a-half kind of ad/clip for each one of these, like how to use the pomade, how to use the clay, whatever. So I had to share, they're all the same, all the commercials are exactly the same, which I guess is fitting. But I had to share part of at least one of them.
Start with towel-dried hair. Then take a coin-size amount of product in your hands and emulsify it. Now, run it through your hair and scalp. I like to take a comb or a brush and style it in the direction that I like. Sometimes I'll use a blow dryer to give it more volume. As you can see, my hair looks naturally styled without overdoing it, and the hold will last all day with no visible residue.
Shenanigans! I'm calling shenanigans on that. There is no fucking way that this guy's hair, you applied it into damp hair and combed it and then air dried it into this? What? Aside from the fact that, like, in this one, so he says, I take a coin-sized amount of product.
I like to take a little coin-sized amount of cream.
Boy, that is way more than a coin-sized. And which coin? There are different coins of different sizes. I mean, this, he should have said I take a fistful of product. But then look at this, when his hair is damp and he's applying it, where did the product go? Why is it not on his hands anymore? Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, it appears to me that they didn't actually apply anything into their hair, and then they just had a stylist come in and like properly blow their hair out into the style, and then they were like, yeah, the product did this by itself. So that wraps things up for today's video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this and found it helpful. Please do not waste your money on the Head & Shoulders styling products. If you feel like using that money elsewhere, feel free, once again, to donate to my charity incentive for the Combat Comb-Over review. So if you haven't already, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all that stuff. And as always, thank you guys so much for coming by and watching. And I'm gonna go do a hair mask.